Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go through some running backs that I think you can get at a discount right now because I know we're needing them. I personally need them since I had Breece Hall on every single team. But before we get into it, make sure you go down there, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down there in that comment section. You know I'm going to be trying to get to as many of those as I possibly can. And also, we said that we were going to have a free bet on Underdog this week. About a month ago, we did Cooper Kupp over under half receiving yard for everyone. Well, Cooper Kupp with the ankle injury looks like that's no longer a possibility. So instead, this week, we are going to have Derrick Henry over under half a rushing yard for everyone on Underdog Fantasy. And of course, it's only for people who use promo code FLOCK. If you use promo code FLOCK years ago, you are going to have that available to you this weekend. If you use promo code FLOCK today, you are going to have that available to you this weekend as well. Make sure you go and sign up for Underdog with the link in the comment section. When you sign up with promo code FLOCK, not only are you going to get this a free bet, but we'll also have another one for you in a month. But you are also going to get your first deposit matched dollar for dollar up to 100. Available in damn near every single state. You can get into weekly best ball drafts as well. But I think that should be about it. Let's go through. Let's dive into these buy low running backs, starting off with someone that has been on this video for about a month now. Rachaad White. I want to continue to look at White, and I was kind of surprised to see the final snap count at the end of this last Thursday night. I don't know if PFF got this wrong or something. I had the thought that maybe this was close to being a 50-50, 60-40 split between Leonard Fournette and Rachaad White because hell, every time I looked up, it seemed like, oh, White's out there. Ooh, that is pretty nice. Leonard Fournette really didn't do much outside of coming away with the rushing touchdown. The volume as a pass catcher has plummeted for Leonard Fournette as of late, and Rachaad White has stepped that up. Rachaad White, 3 receptions to Leonard Fournette's 3 receptions this past week. Rachaad White, 4 carries to Leonard Fournette's 9 carries this past week. And with Rachaad White, what is one of the most compelling things that I've seen is at the end of the game where they're going for that 2-point conversion. They're on the 1 yard line because they had the penalty right beforehand. Instead of putting the big bodied back there, instead of going through and putting Leonard Fournette, the guy you would think they would have in with the game on the line, no, they have Rachaad White out instead. Now with White, you have to be careful of where you're trading for him. Please, if you're playing in a non-PPR format, don't trade for Rachaad White. I'll have a running back for you later on in this video. Rachaad White specifically for a full PPR league because he is a great pass catcher, because this is a spot where if Leonard Fournette were to go down, there'd be a ton of targets available, and I think he would be a very exciting player. But now, very similar, another very good rookie pass catcher at the running back position, James Cook. He's officially jumped Zach Moss on the depth chart. We've talked about him for a couple of weeks now. Hell, we talked about him on the waiver wire video as well. Don't want to spend too much time. James Cook looked good. Only had 1 reception, but that 1 reception went for 41 receiving yards. I think that they are going to continuously get James Cook more and more involved. Maybe scale Devin Singletary back, very similar to what we're getting with in Tampa. But at the end of the day, you may not be able to start James Cook with confidence outside of a Devin Singletary injury. But if that were to happen, then in that full PPR format, I think James Cook could be very exciting as well. So both these rookie running backs are for that full PPR league. Like I said, non-PPR, overlook them. We'll get someone later on for you. But speaking of that full PPR format, I've had to sit here and think about DeAndre Swift a lot. DeAndre Swift, a running back that, hell, I didn't really draft much this season because we said Travis Etienne was the same guy in the 4th round. Let me flex on everyone. But we have been trading for DeAndre Swift a lot over the past few weeks as he has been dealing with this injury, and I thought that Swift would have come in here and he would have led this backfield in carries, that he would have led this backfield in targets, that he would have led this backfield in snaps, led this backfield in every category you can imagine. However, that didn't happen. While, yeah, you had 33 snaps compared to Jamal Williams at 22, you actually had Jamal Williams with 10 carries, 53 rushing yards, and multiple rushing touchdowns, continuing a trend where Jamal Williams, dear God, at this point, is he a top 5 running back in the NFL in rushing touchdowns? I don't know if that's true, but it definitely feels like it is. And it's very frustrating for anybody who has DeAndre Swift on their roster. And if you look at the final rushing stat line for DeAndre Swift this past week, you had 5 carries, 6 rushing yards. I mean, yes, he saves his day as a pass catcher. He gets the 5 receptions, 27 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown. Kind of look like J.D. McKissic to a certain extent. I don't know. I think that if we take a step back, if you look at the split between DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, they are going to split the backfield going forward. However, I think that instead of this being a split where you have DeAndre Swift seeing 33 snaps compared to Jamal Williams at 22, when the Detroit Lions inevitably are losing more football games, I mean, hell, they're the last team in the NFL right now on the standings. I think that they are going to have to get Swift more involved as he is healthy. They were winning a large chunk of this game against Miami. I think that was good for the game environment of Jamal Williams. It was Swift's first week back in. So it is very concerning. I don't want to act like DeAndre Swift is looking like the player he was coming into this season. But if you're able to get DeAndre Swift in a full PPR format as a mid running back 2, I still think he has running back 1 upside if he can get this red zone roll away from Jamal. But now going over to our next guy, Josh Jacobs. I'm going to be super brief with Jacobs. I've been annoying you talking about him all season now. Jacobs, very bad week this past week. He had 10 rushing attempts, 43 rushing yards, 2 receptions, 11 receiving yards. I mean, this was by far and away his worst day of the year. And with Jacobs, I mean, it was bound to happen. We were talking about the past 3 weeks being abnormally good for Josh Jacobs, given the fact that, hell, they were winning every single game. They won against the Denver Broncos. They were winning against the Chiefs until, yes, the Chiefs ended up coming back in that contest. They obviously put a beat down on the Houston Texans. Josh Jacobs is going to be someone that gets a ton of usage and looks like a league-winning guy when the Las Vegas Raiders have the right game script. This game, they lose 24-0. And while, yes, it is laughably bad, while, yes, you don't like to see it, while, yes, it is a little concerning, we can clearly see why this happened. Or at least in my opinion, I think we can. You had a situation here where Derek Carr had no Davante Adams. I mean, yes, he played, but the man had 1 reception for 3 receiving yards. I think Davante Adams was out there on the sideline. I don't know if it was flu. I don't know if it was Ebola. I don't know what it was, but it was clearly affecting him. You had no Darren Waller as well. So I think when you get a fully healthy Davante Adams, when you get a fully healthy Darren Waller, if these 2 players come back into this offense, are able to elevate, it's going to be a better spot for Jacobs in the overall game environment he should be playing in. He's gone through a pretty tough stretch of games. He had to play the Chiefs. He just got through the New Orleans Saints. Going forward, he gets to play the Jags, the Colts, the Broncos, the Seahawks. I mean, over the next month, I'm not too concerned about any of those matchups. I think the Raiders can be in every single one of those games. I don't see them getting blown out. Maybe they are dogs to the Seattle Seahawks, but it will still be competitive. So it'll be a much better game environment for Josh Jacobs. I'm not moving him down my rankings after this week. Now going over to our next guy. This is someone for you in that non-PPR format. Ezekiel Elliott. Now, trust me, we are calling Zeke one of the biggest busts in fantasy drafts. You're saying don't draft him at all. I don't really have Zeke on any of my rosters, but Jerry Jones has lost his mind. Just because they're paying Ezekiel Elliott this much money, even with Tony Pollard coming out and Tony Pollard putting up a better game. I shouldn't say that. One of the better games of Ezekiel Elliott's entire career. Tony Pollard could go up there and match that with his first game here with no Ezekiel Elliott. Pollard's been phenomenal. The man had almost 10 yards per carry. The man had 3 rushing touchdowns in 1 contest. So you would naturally assume, okay, well, this means Ezekiel Elliott's still not going to get this role. But the thing is, if we go back and look at over the past 4 seasons now, Tony Pollard every single year has been a more efficient running back than Ezekiel Elliott. Every single season he has. But when Zeke has the name appeal, when Zeke has the contract, when Zeke is a better pass blocker, the Dallas Cowboys simply don't care. They're going to continue to use him. If we look at Zeke this season, he's never had a game with fewer than 10 rushing attempts. This should be a good Dallas Cowboys defense where they're able to run the ball in the second half. So while you would naturally assume Zeke's going to continue to get phased out here, nothing's really changed. At least not in my opinion. They're on bye this week. I think Zeke's healthy going into week 10. I mean, it's just Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones wanting to feature the guy that they are paying. Now going over to our next running back, someone else that I didn't really like coming into the season, Najee Harris. With Najee Harris, I mean, he's essentially the same guy as David Montgomery. We've talked about it for God knows how long. He's a running back that's not athletic. I know people hate when we say it, but it's true. He's a running back that is going to get a ton of volume out of his backfield in a very bad offense. And if we go through and if we look at how bad this offense is in Pittsburgh, this is why we went through and said is sell high on George Pickens last week. Oh my gosh, look at the points scored. 23 in overtime. In overtime week 1. But since then, 14, 17, 20, 3, 20, 10, 13. The Pittsburgh Steelers, you can make the argument, have had the worst offense in the entire NFL so far this season. However, while I still expect them to be bad going forward, I think they will be better. I'm not saying they're going to be good. I'm not saying they're going to be good at all. Trust me, we said to sell George Pickens last week. I just think that everybody is laughing at Najee Harris. Everybody hates Najee Harris. I completely understand why. Trust me, I get it. But he did have 6 targets this past week. He's had 28 targets so far this season. In a full BBR format, I think that's somewhat intriguing. They played Philadelphia, very tough matchup. Miami, tough matchup. Tampa, not as tough as they've been in years past with their rush defense, but still pretty tough. Buffalo, the Jets, Cleveland, New England, Cincinnati. Seems like every single game that they played so far this season, they've gone up against a pretty good rush defense. Going forward, I mean, this week they get the Saints, who, yes, just shut down the Las Vegas Raiders. They get Cincinnati, they get Indianapolis, they get Atlanta, they get Baltimore, then they get Carolina. The schedule will be a little bit easier for Najee Harris going forward. I don't want to sit here and act like he's going to be a running back 1. No. He's not going to be a running back 1, but in a full BBR format with this level of involvement that he has as a pass catcher, if this offense does have a better time, if Kenny Pickett gets better, if the matchups get a little easier, I think Najee Harris could maybe be a mid running back 2, just based off the volume. Now going to our last guy on this list, coming back from the injury, hopefully this week, Cordarrelle Patterson. We have not seen the man since October 2nd, but hell, that's about 4 weeks. Should be able to come off the IR if he is fully healthy. I mean, if we were looking at Cordarrelle Patterson stepping into a situation where Tyler Algier, Caleb Huntley looked good this past week. I mean, this is why we did not include Caleb Huntley on that waiver wire video. The man had 91 rushing yards. I mean, Tyler Algier had 39. You had about 170 total rushing yards from this offense this past week. You're also getting Tyler Algier involved as a pass catcher, where the man had 3 receptions, 46 receiving yards, and the receiving touchdown. I think Cordarrelle Patterson comes in. He takes the majority of this work. With Cordarrelle Patterson, I mean, week 1, 120 rushing yards and the rushing touchdown. Week 3, 141 rushing yards and the rushing touchdown. Full transparency, y'all know I always say it every single video. It's a meme at this point. Jacobs, my most drafted running back in fantasy this year. Kenneth Walker, my second most drafted. Cordarrelle Patterson was my 3rd most drafted in those underdog drafts because I think in a best ball format, he's going to be great. He's going to have these random spike weeks. I don't want to try to sell him as like a high-end running back 2, low-end running back 1, though, because there are very, very real red flags with Cordarrelle Patterson. The man's a 31-year-old running back coming off an injury and one of the worst offenses in the NFL. So we can be realistic. We can say very similar to Najee Harris. This is not a player that's ever going to be a running back 1. Please don't think that. But I think if you can buy him at a running back 3 price tag, very similar to Najee, and then he comes in and gives you running back 2 production, technically that's a profit. And I think that probably the fantasy football owner of Cordarrelle Patterson, of Najee Harris, so tired of him at this point, they're going to be willing to give him to you at a 50% discount. But I think that's all I got for you. Of course, thank you so much for checking out the video. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. Feel free to go down there in that comment section, ask me any question, tell me how stupid I am. I'm all for it. But make sure you take advantage of this. I worked my butt off to get you this deal. Go take advantage of the free bet that we're going to have this week. No longer going to be the Cooper Kupp one with the ankle injury, but will be a Derrick Henry over under half a rushing yard for everybody here. If you signed up for Underdog with promo code FLOCK a year ago, you're going to have access to this. If you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK before Friday, you're going to have access to this as well. You can find the link in the description. And also, if you're a new user on Underdog and use promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match on top of that free bet. I've worked my butt off to get you this. Please take advantage of it. But thank you again. I truly do appreciate you and I hope you have a great day.